Yeah, it's kind of interesting to read through the report over the weekend. I didn't realize myself that 730 housing starts was a high in 1 year. Obviously off the charts, not comparable to most places anywhere, not a realistic shot. 76 in 2017, probably more realistic, right? I know what the numbers are for this year's halfway through-ish, 2018. You see in places beside that, you referenced how you felt the employment number changed even since the report in 2018, so on and so forth. This trend of housing starts being lower, and they're lower again this year for us. How much does that affect these numbers? I mean, this survey was requested at a time I think things were probably going great guns in the city, and it was taken over a tumultuous time in the city. And I was kind of surprised that the numbers didn't show worse than they do, depending on when you were asking and so on and so forth. But is that the trend? Is declining starts actually take some of the pressure off because of rental rates and more vacancy?
You're correct that it does take some pressure off, because that means that the units that are already existing that are vacant, people are going to start to fill those in instead of there being new units being built on top of that. So in having the lower starts, that does help. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So in talking to your stakeholders, I was wondering around rental rates and stuff, because those numbers kind of piqued my interest into when I first came here, I think it was less than 1% vacancy, right? 26%, now 18-ish. In talking to those stakeholders, did they talk about rental adjustment rates and how much they brought that down or fluctuated that in the last couple of years, and how much that would have effect on the numbers?
Yes. The rental housing providers that we spoke to did indicate that they brought down rents, but not significantly. It was like $100 or $200 decrease per month. And
that's significant to somebody, of course.
Exactly. Yeah. It was interesting talking to the rental housing providers and then saying, yes, we brought down rents, and then talking to the social housing providers, and they were saying the decrease in rent has allowed some of our clients to be able to now enter the rental housing market. So there was an interesting two-sided of the story discussion going on there. So I think you're right in saying that the decrease in rent has occurred.
Because I wonder how much it takes away from that gap and that need. It actually helps it, not takes away. I don't know how to phrase it, but it improves the situation a little bit. Because, like you said, those people are coming into places they can now afford. And to Councillor Baker's point, there's not a lot of new people that want to build these types of accommodations right now, but those that are here and existing want them full, whether they're what they would call full rate or at a lower rate. So I would argue that in 2018, the numbers are probably, the stresses on us are probably less than they were. Fair, not fair?
I would need to look at her data. Yep.
The trend would be that right now, probably.
That's fair.
Just a quick follow-up. Just as far as rental rates change, maybe the rates as far as mortgages and things like that, because of a house to sell takes longer, does that market price take longer to adjust, generally speaking, than the rental rate would have taken?
I don't think I can give you a firm answer on that.
Okay.
Sorry. Very good question.
But there certainly has been a positive effect on when you talk on the mortgage rates or the pricing of housing, how that's dropped. It's made it much more available. Especially a lot of new Canadians are now eligible to buy housing because of the price drop. So that's a positive thing. I just think that the report has a lot of really good information, and I take a look at it as a really good foundation for future. And we need to keep this up current as possible, but I compare it to a shovel in the ground that's ready to go. If there are some grant dollars out there, we are ready to go for it. So, and Patrick and his team there for using some CSS dollars on this. That's great, and minimal. So, yeah, very very interesting. A lot of good information there. So, thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments, Councillor Jones?
Patrick. I just have a quick question for Patrick, and it's just as far as the group you were working with, the subcommittee of all of the other non-for-profits, do you think there's an appetite for those groups to kind of maybe think about start working as one cohesive unit from your experience of working working with them. Because that's one of the recommendations from the report, and it's not the first time we've heard that this is an issue with the fantastic not-for-profits in our city that do a lot of good, but they're all chasing the same ball.
I think the report does provide an opportunity to bring our nonprofits back to the table again, and potentially could help facilitate more conversations with where they're at the table together, talking and looking at ways to pull their efforts as opposed to chasing different balls in different areas. We have several different groups that are specifically focused on housing. We have other groups that have client bases that rely and overlap into those housing groups. And I think we've long advocated that the best results are going to be when we start bringing them to the table to talk and put things forward as a group as opposed to individual organizations.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Patrick. Carolyn, thank you very much for making the trip out from Saskatoon for the presentation and for the information. I think it's a great document to work with to move forward. Patrick, thank you for your involvement. It's always bringing everybody together, the stakeholders to one place to provide that information. Thank you to both of you, and we'll look forward to working with the administration to move this forward. Moving on to the agenda, I'll look to some minutes.
Thank you, Worship, to present item 5.2, here's the form on social policy. Patrick, come right up.
Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon, Council. Just good to be back. So I'm here today to present an invitation. Is that okay?
Yep, we're okay. We're just going to find out adjustment later.
I'm here today to present an invitation that was extended to the city from the Intercity Forum on Social Policy. This is a group that gathers together different municipal representatives from cities that are over 10,000 in population. It is, sorry, I lost my track there a minute ago. Intercity Forum on Social Policy is basically a gathering of municipalities over a population of 10,000 to discuss matters of social policy. The meetings are held a couple of times a year and involve typically an elected official as well as a member of administration. And then there are representatives from AUMA, from the FCSS Association of Alberta, and typically there are presentations from different organizations that are involved in things like community economic development, housing, senior supports, and different ministries of the Alberta provincial government. Typically, at least once or twice a year, there is a minister from a portfolio that deals with social issues, like seniors and housing. The Minister of Finance has been there, and they're available for municipalities to ask sort of direct questions regarding social policy, as well as receive briefings from the province on what's going on, what kind of grants are coming up, what kind of programs, what kind of initiatives are coming out. And the forum itself serves as sort of a networking and conversation table, so municipalities can talk back and forth about different programs that they are running. In the past, there's been discussions around things ranging from fair access programs for municipalities that are offering recreation subsidy, transportation subsidies, and things like that, right through to information sharing to, I believe, in the future they're going to look at social needs assessments and how municipalities gather information around social needs within their communities. It's a great opportunity for cities to gain more information on social policy from their peers, other municipalities, and it's a great opportunity to gather elected officials and administration to share that information back and forth. So the report that I've prepared for you today talks a little bit about the makeup of the table, a little bit of the associated costs, and we're hoping to, I guess, bring forward that invitation to whether council sees it appropriate for someone to come to that table.
Councilor McLean.
Thank you very much. On the budget implication side, side of things, $1,050 per meeting is a cost that you guys have come up with. That's one member of council and one member of administration attending. That's the number that is derived from.
Yes, that's factoring in travel, accommodation, and per diem.
So you're looking at $3,500 a year, basically, at minimum, to be a part of this.
Yes.
Because the other thing Patrick mentioned is that hosting costs are shared between the member cities. So that would mean if there's 20 cities, they split it on some ratio between the 20 cities in terms of what the cost for hosting is. Or because I'm just trying to sort out what those costs at the bottom you made reference to.
So the hosting costs are actually going to be undergoing review in the upcoming meetings. In the past, practice has been that it has been on a rotating basis where the hosting cost of the catering and room booking for the meetings was rotated from municipality to municipality on a meeting by meeting basis. The City of Edmonton has actually taken on the cost of those hosting costs for the last several meetings, and now they were looking at sharing that back amongst the different participating municipalities. So the hosting, one they may be looking at going back to a rotating cost, or they may look at a shared hosting cost where everyone chips in once a year at a tiered amount based on the amount of population per municipality. But we don't have that information on exactly what that would be yet, because they have yet to have that conversation at the table. I believe that's coming up in the fall.
Thanks. One follow-up as well. So, and I'm just trying to get a sense of the number of people in the room at these meetings as well, Patrick, because I mean, cities over 10,000, okay, that's the cities defined by 10,000. So how many people would actually be in the room? And then plus like the official times, how many cities? So we're talking 50 to 100, and I guess I'm wondering if we're a part of that, you know, how big a voice we have, maybe 1 to 100 or 1 or 200 people in the room. I guess that's kind of
Attendance in the meetings tends to range between 12 to 25 participants approximately.
Yeah. You know, all in all, it seems like pretty good ideas in terms of, you know, some of the stuff we're talking about, and maybe getting a little bit more onto the social needs of things of our community, and dealing with some of our issues that we know we have in front of us. So, you know, on what the proposal is, it's great. I would like to echo Councillor Dadich. I'd just like to have a ballpark for how much the total budget effect of this decision. So if from now on we do this, what is the total budget per year? Best estimate, if you have to call someone and say, hey, how much do we think it's going to be to start splitting these meetings every year? Or how much have you had to pay for a meeting if you were hosting in the past? Those would be, you know, even a ballpark, I think would be for when this comes to council, a good idea for me to have you know, a strong handle on whether or not it's something we're interested in, because the difference between you know, $13,000 a year and I don't know, $43,000 a year is a pretty big difference for, you know, depending on what the value you end up getting out of it is. So I think yeah, that would be really great from my point of view. Thank you.
Just follow up on that one, we're all the same. Same thing. That was going to be my thought. Do we have a timeline as to when this review, did they tell you anything about when this review of this portion of it would be completed?
The next meeting that is scheduled for the group is this September. So the September meeting, they should have the new, I guess, guidelines for cost sharing and put together for rolling out.
I guess to echo the councillor said, I wouldn't necessarily want to see this come back to council until we have that. If it's in September, that's only another month to make a decision whether we go forward, but I would prefer to see those numbers before it even comes back for a decision.
I'm interested in just knowing what the difference would be between this and the mid-sized mayor's caucus that gets held twice a year anyways. Plus AUMA already has their main conference, plus they've also introduced is it 3 or 4 times a year, where they're meeting with like spring and a fall caucus. So they've also introduced those new ones. So I mean, this would make for a lot of traveling. Not only, I just wonder about availability city as well. If we're going to these mid-sized mayor's caucus meetings with the city manager and the mayor, numerous times a year, there's 44 people in the room, and they do talk about social concerns there. They do talk about whatever you really want to bring up, you have the opportunity to talk and discuss with these other cities. So I don't know what the difference would be between population over 10,000 that introduces Calgary and Edmonton, but at the same time, do Calgary and Edmonton really have the same risk factors that we do as a community, where the mid-sized mayor is more, applies directly to people of our size as well. So I just wonder if it's not duplicating something that we're already a part of. I definitely think it's a great initiative, but I just don't know that we have the time or the resources to be attending all of these conferences and all of these meetings that we do on top of everything else we already are dedicated to. So.
Your Worship, I've been somewhat briefed on this in the past, and I always felt that the services that are involved are provincial government services, and they're looking for input from the municipalities, and they're getting us to pay for it. Like if the minister wants to have a meeting or run one of these, like social services are, in fact, a provincial responsibility. And the way I read this, it doesn't really tell me, just social needs. That's pretty broad-based. Like, to zero in and say, what are we really doing here? And what are you zeroing in on? Because I guess social needs are whatever you want it to be. But to me, it's, when I read it, I thought, this is the Minister of Social Services. For example, this is his portfolio. He should be leading the charge. If he wants input, he should ask for it. If he wants us to attend certain meetings, I guess he should. Maybe I'm misreading this report, but that's how I came up with what I'm reading in this report.
If I may, in regards to attendance of ministers at the meetings, the ministers that attend the meetings are there at invitation of the municipalities that are attending the meetings. So the municipalities decide what minister they would like to, I guess, put on the hot seat, as it were, or invite for the conversation. But it's not the ministries that are dictating attendance of the meetings with the municipalities to decide what information they want to get to the questions they want to ask of those ministers.
And I think they're all really good points that have been raised. I think, the only thing I was thinking about those that when we were asking and speaking with the ministers about economic development, they said, are you a part of HUB? We said, no, we're not. So sometimes being at the table offers you opportunities that you can have, otherwise you wouldn't have if you weren't present. And I don't know what those opportunities are, and I think, as I've heard, it's pretty difficult to be able to rip it down exactly what we would gain out of this process. And my sense, though, is that there's an opportunity to either opt in or opt out. I would suggest that. I think this is an important issue for us. It would be important for us to find out if, in fact, there's a benefit. And perhaps for 1 year we participate, and if we think it's a path going nowhere, then let's get off the bus and not continue on the pathway. But I think, certainly based on the report we've seen around housing needs, or the needs that we're facing as well, we're part of the opioid crisis like other people are. If there's an opportunity to influence and do something for our community, then let's check it out. And if it's a complete waste of time, then I guess we stop. Obviously, there are other cities that are participating on a regular basis. They seem to find some good in it. And the only other comment I'd add is that sometimes the good you find is what the good you put into it. You have to invest your time and effort into something in order to achieve something that comes out of it. So if there's an opportunity that we can influence provincial policy and be part of this, why not? I think there's a lot of great ideas that we have to offer, and talent in this room that can perhaps influence that policy. And if we see it from that light, I think perhaps it's something we should be investing our time. But I would see it as let's try it out. And, as we're doing, I think we see with that.
How long ago was this group established? How long has it been in place?
These meetings?
Yeah, the city forum.
I would have to go back and check the terms of reference, but I believe that these have been going on more than 10 years for certain, but I don't think exact.
And is this the first invitation that we've been given?
I believe so, or at least to my knowledge. Meetings have been going on for a couple of years. I got wind of them and then began to reach out to the folks who are hosting meetings to get some more information about it. Fairly recently they sent out invitations to cities across Alberta that were over 10,000 that weren't attending those meetings in the past.
So can you get us a list of all the cities that are involved in this?
Okay.
Is that possible? I just want to see if there's a huge difference between this and other things that we're already a part of. Because if it's going to the same table with the same individuals, then I don't think that it's not just echoing the things that they're already discussing at the meetings. But if it's a new group of individuals, then I do definitely see some merit in it. So we can provide that information. That would be great.
I can provide a more formal list, but I can tell you from Heller, Cold Lake, Camrose, Red Deer, Medicine Hat, Calgary, and Lethbridge. And then there's a few others I'm not missing.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Buckingham.
Great thing about these GPCs, we can ask all these questions before we get any place to go for a decision. I might put you on the hot seat a bit here, but from what you know about this, summarize it for me, sell it to me, basically. So when we get asked in the next number of weeks before this comes back for a decision at a council meeting, what do I tell a taxpayer? This is why are you guys even considering doing this and spending extra money traveling and doing all these committee things? What are we going to get out of this? From what you know about it, can you summarize it and sell it to me? The background a little bit before we come to the next part of it.
First off, from my conversations with some of the other people that attend the meetings, they frame it to me as a definitely unique opportunity to get access to ministers in a sort of one or nearly one-to-one direct manner so that they can ask questions, advocate for their communities for funding, as well as get ear of funding opportunities as they are becoming available. From an administrative perspective, there's significant benefit to being able to connect at a large conversation table and get information about different social policy and social programs. Saves us a lot of research time, a lot of running around time, and there's other communities that are already doing things that we're looking at and considering what we can learn from. And it is a good opportunity to receive information about other supports for social policy, such as community economic development, and or have conversations around the opioid crisis and different things that are going on in our community.
I don't want to come across as, what do I get out of this? You know, is the only thing, right? Because sometimes you do things because it's the right thing to do and you get the ear of these people and their long-term benefits, and sometimes you get no benefits, but you still do it because it's the right thing to do. It's the right group to be involved in. But we get those questions as to, hey, why are you guys doing this type of thing? So for me, it's almost of note what I can say to someone when they say, why? Right? But not just, what are we getting out of this? Right? There's two sides to this for sure.
Councilor
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, I just had one more comment on the subject. I think it actually relates to what we were talking about in the last subject in terms of, okay, where's all the federal and provincial dollars going around these things? And it always seems to be the bigger center. And, you know, if we haven't learned by now, it's not only because they have the population density, it's also because they have a seat at the table. And they're talking to these ministers and they're making relationships with them. And those are the things that is getting them, we'll say, pull. So we have to be conscious of that when we're making decisions like this, is do we want to be able to get that face time if it doesn't exist in the scenario? So I think the two things are connected, and something like this could help something like our housing needs assessment or our mental health assessment that we did a couple months back, and the assessments that keep piling up, that we've got some things we need to deal with. So thank you, Patrick, very much.
I'd like to chime into this discussion. There's some great discussion around the table, and I think that Patrick, what I sense, trying to summarize from my perspective, is that I think we need to know what we're looking at a cost, but we're also going to be going into the budget preparation, so I think this will come in well into the budget discussion, because the next meeting's in September. We're not going to have a decision made, and we'll be ready hopefully for the new year to approach that. So that'll give you the opportunity to pull some numbers together for that discussion. The discussion of both, all the way around has covered off all the bases. We are entering into what's murky water. Should be a provincial and federal responsibility. But as we've learned very clearly from both of our governments, three governments in this case, that downloading has become a regular and general occurrence. And certainly the opportunities, and I go back to the wastewater treatment plant, and I beat that drum to death, is that the opportunities to meet ministers face to face and carry our message. And I think we've seen that at SUMA, we've seen it at AUMA, and I think the opportunities, whenever we get those chances to be in front of ministers and to put our city on the map, because we are that distinction of being a provincial city. So it's a little bit of a tug of war, but maybe this is that conduit we can carry to Saskatchewan to help carry something from Alberta, one way or another's potential. I see the benefits. I appreciate what Councillor Diachuk says, maybe that giving it a try to see if we see the benefits, because I think that's the opportunity. If we dip our toe in the water, we don't have to dive right in. We try for potentially for a year if we can fit it into the budget within FCSS, and then try it and see if it's an opportunity. If we don't see the value, we can certainly say, hey, it's a learning experience, we chalk it up. When it comes to the government, we know they're going to continue to download. Councilor Baker, I agree with you 100%. We shouldn't be in this, but, and this is that but, we know that the government's today, and we also know the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So unless we can get to that table and sweep a little, or sweep an awful lot, and put us on that map and say, we have issues, we are challenged, and there's multiple factors. And now we have a study here, we're going to be doing, we've got the Health Foundation and FCS's study. We've got a lot of very valuable information that gives a very good perspective of Alberta, because this is what we're dealing with is Alberta. But we are a perfect snapshot because our community continues to feel the pains of the economy and heavy oil more than any other community in the province. I talk to people in Grand Prairie, they're busy. I talk to people in Red Deer, they're busy. Medicine Hat is picking up, but we just have not had that rebound. So I think that gives us an opportunity to try and get the ministries aware of what's going on, certainly the ministers. And I would consider looking at trying it for a year, but I think we do need to know from administration what we're looking at for financial commitment, so that we will find the staff. I don't expect that. My thought was to be that the city manager would be there. The gentleman that presented this is the individual that, without calling administration's duties, that Patrick brings a great deal of knowledge. He's well connected in the community with social needs on all sorts. And that speaks well of you, Patrick, and the administration, and work that goes on every day in our city that people don't see. It's not water, sewer, and roads. It's helping those people that may be less advantageous as others and help them through. So I think we've got a position that we need to carry for all citizens. Councilor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm curious if, for the next meeting that's coming up, if we could get this to come back to council to at least approve or not approve money for someone to attend just the September meeting, and we could defer signing up permanently until after budget's approved, and then whoever goes can kind of give an indication to council whether they believe the value is there from actually attending a meeting, rather than going through the budgeting process and deciding whether we want to do it or not and finding out afterwards that it's not something we want to do permanently. So I just wonder if it's worth doing it in two steps and taking this first meeting to council as a decision as to whether or not we want to spend the money there, and then future overall decision whether we want to be a part of it. We take that to a later date and get a recommendation from whoever attends the meeting. Thanks.
I'm looking for a vote, but it's council feel that an interest would be in the best interest. That's really true, putting our foot in, just dipping our toe in the water just a little bit. Any comments?
I would agree. If there's a possibility that that can be without having the actual commitment, and that you can check into that and see if they would accept that as an alternative for just going for one meeting, I guess. this and see what it's like, and then
Councilor Craig?
And Patrick, to find out what's on the agenda for that as well, that would be great.
I think there's a bit of a danger in it. It's like buying the mixed package of lifesavers. If the next lifesaver happens to be a lemon, your impression is that all lifesavers are lemon. And if it happens to be a cherry, it's going to be a cherry. So I mean, I think we should go on with our eyes open around that if we're going to go that way. I don't think the cost is over the top. The second part, I'm thinking from a hosting fee, you're probably looking at the cost of the meals, which is really the per diem. If you're in Edmonton or Leduc or whatever, they're probably providing in one of their council chambers to host the meeting and bringing food in. So I was thinking if we hosted it, what would we charge? What would the cost be? Well, we bring breakfast and lunch and people will take off for supper and they're gone. So our cost is going to be in essence what the per diem rate I would think would be relative to each individual's attendance. So when meals are provided, we shouldn't be claiming a per diem anyways.
So I really think it depends if they go outside their venue, right? If they chose not to have hosted at a city facility or a community facility, that would be a challenge. If you move it to a private, for-profit or hotel or something like that, there'd be a little bit more there. Well, with that sense, I think we can give administration some direction that way. Feel comfortable with what we've talked about, Patrick?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Good discussion. Moving back to the agenda at 5.3, I'll look to the city manager.
Thank you, Your Worship, to present 5.3 quarter 1, quarter 2 procurement for $75. Rodney Toby will be presenting.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
We have the quarter 1, quarter 2 procurement over $75,000. The information regarding procurement and purchases over $75,000 for the first 2 quarters of 2018. The new procurement and purchasing policy was adopted by Council on March 26, 2018. As per the new policy, Section 815 of the purchasing practice to report all procurement activity that is $75,000 or greater to the governance and priority committee on a regular basis. Due to the timing and revisions of the policy, this first report encompasses the first 2 quarters. The attached spreadsheet includes a policy of ordinance purchases that were posted and evaluated in the prior to June 30th, 2018. The objective is to provide information to the Governance and Priority Committee regarding all city ordinance purchased from January 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2018. That were over $75,000 and have been publicly procured. There's 2 options. That the committee accept the information as presented, and number 2 is committee request for information. Before council decides, I would like to bring your attention to a couple of items that are on the report that's attached. On the second page, under environmental services, almost towards the end, there are two RFPs with either the names or the cost there. I will include them on the next report so that you have them in writing, but I can tell you that those numbers were, for the aeration, was $770,000, including HST, and the back curtain, which was an emergency purchase, turned out to be $120,750, including GST. The outdoor fitness equipment was $53,508. And again, I read this up because it's omitted from here, but I will ensure it's included on the next board report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Executive Manager Revin. Any questions or comments? I think this gives us a great summary of just what we do on the capital side that we don't always see. We started in the process of budgeting and go from there, and some things moving forward. So I think that, I know our purchasing policy, some of these were more prior to one purchasing policy, with an updated purchasing policy. It gives us a good summary of the activities that have gone on to this point. It's certainly over the $75,000, and there's a lot of work currently underway that wouldn't show up until it was completed as it is on this list. So appreciate that very much. Any questions or comments from council members? doing anything. It's pretty straightforward. We look forward to the update that will be coming forward regarding the items that, as you noted, Executive Manager Rodney, on the purchases.
Just a question ahead of the back on that. I know that a couple of the contracts or purchases that we had looked at over the past perhaps 60 days, whatever it is, have actually come under significantly the budgeted amount. So I'm wondering as another piece of information along this, so what we budgeted versus what the actual was. Is that possible to get a future one?
Yeah, we can provide that for the next quarter.
That's good. Because I think certainly we've done the work, and I think you guys have, gone back and the process is seamless. And also we've actually awarded contracts for it, or less than projected in the budget. And I think that sort of also gives us good information as well.
Good comment, Councilor. I think that's the end of the day, it gives us a good comparison back. Any other questions or comments from anyone? All right, I think we'll give the administration some ideas for the future reports. Moving on to agenda item number 5.4. City Manager.
Thank you, Your Worship, to present the SPCA request for lease payments and the lease agreement. I'll ask Lisa to come forward.
Good afternoon, Lisa.
Good afternoon, Your Worship, and members of the City Council. The subject matter I'm here to present is the SPCA request pertaining to non-invoice lease payments and entering into a new lease agreement. Administration recently identified an existing lease agreement between the City and the SPCA that was executed November 2006 at a rate of $7,500 per year. Prior to this lease being identified, both parties had the understanding that there was a $1 per year agreement in place. The existing lease agreement also includes a clause allowing the SPCA to satisfy rent by in-kind services or gift in kind. However, there is no formal records indicating a $1 agreement or in-kind services being rendered. The City and SPCA are working on entering into a new updated lease agreement with different terms and conditions. Prior to entering a new agreement, the SPCA is requesting to have the lease payments from November 1st, 2006 to December 31st, 2018, totaling $91,250 be absolved. The balance has not been accounted for in the city records as we have not invoiced the SPCA. Therefore, it will not impact the city's financial position. The SPCA does not currently have the means to pay this, and if invoiced, it will severely impact their ability to provide services for the city. Moving forward with a new and updated lease agreement, administration will be requesting a rate of $7,500 per year, which is below market value. The land was assessed in February by a real estate agent at an annual rate of $36,000. We are seeking direction from council regarding these two items. First being the SPCA would like to see the outstanding lease payment be absolved. And secondly, administration is requesting to move forward with a new updated lease agreement at under market value. And with this attached is a letter from the SPCA. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Lisa. Look to council for questions. Councilor Torson.
Just for a quick clarification, what do we mean by in-kind services? Would there be anything specific for what they do that we're considering that could be in-kind services?
We don't have anything outlined identifying those in-kind services. In corresponding with the SPCA, we kind of just spoke about it and said that they would come to us and it would have to be approved and both parties would have to formally agree upon those services that we don't already compensate them for. And if we were to move forward with that, it would be an addendum to the lease agreement.
So just to be clear, in terms of this entire issue. So then it would have been the city's responsibility to have sent them a lease bill at some point or an invoice for them to then pay said invoice or provide some in-kind services at X value, this many services, and then a donation receipt to follow up at the end of the year when those services were not ultimately paid. That's more common. I'm assuming that that's more or less correct, yeah. I understand, why we would let the public know about this, because it's more or less a $91,000 write-off that doesn't actually have to happen because it never got recorded in the first place. But at the same time, this is a tricky one because I'd just be interested in what kind of in-kind services we can be getting for our $7,500 per year. Because if we're expecting or hoping that the SPCA can move into a new home at some point in the future, it's a little tricky to not attempt, but to kick them while they're down for another $7,500 per year. So, yeah, thank you for your presentation.
Councilor Baker.
Your Worship, it's not. The SPCA has provided a great service to this community for a long time. And the money is a small matter. But what bothers me more in this report is we have a deal, but we don't have any documents. That's happened quite a few times in the last year or two. We can't find the documents. We had it at the Seniors Center. How do we control the documents in the city? I recall this deal when the SPCA moved to where they are today. And somewhere, is it not in the minutes of City Council, or where does this stuff go?
So I can't speak to the 2006 deal because we couldn't find records. 2012 charter, of course, says that section 144 says that there must be a resolution of council to deal with these matters, and council cannot delegate that authorities. In 2006, it appears that there was an agreement made. However, there is no documentation. I can't speak to why there's no.
No, I understand that. I'm saying, where do they go? How do they disappear? What else is disappearing?
If there is a resolution of council, it is recorded. We cannot find a resolution of council.
Because we were looking for an agreement with the Legacy Center here in the last 6 months, and we couldn't find that. And I'm just saying, how is the record keeping managed when we lose the agreements? We're printing in here saying we had this deal, but it's not even in the city council minutes. So how do we have a deal without it coming to council?
Well, that's the manager, if you'd like to. Yes.
I guess my response to that would be we're working on and improving our filing system and our records. And that's
I'm picking up
part of it.
on that.
No, I understand. Well, sense taken. Where it's one of the areas we're looking at, one of these are the agreements that we're going through to try and clean up. There's a few others that will come to council in the next few months just to get cleaned up and to make sure that we're doing what we can to make it proper moving forward.
Councilor, I think I'm Councilor Torson, Councilor.
Just a quick clarification. Is it the $1 a year lease agreement that was missing, or is it the 2006 $7,500 a year one that was missing? If we came up with this, we must have known about the $7,500 a year. We must have a copy of that one if it came to council, right?
So we do have a copy of the lease, the signed lease. However, there is no copy of the agreement to reduce the cost to $1. There is no record of it within the council. As there was no assignment and no invoices sent, there was within the SPCA records a meeting minute that said that that agreement had been reached with the city. All indications point towards that, but once again, there is no records to identify that.
Yeah, I think, Clerk might have answered it, but I mean, does the SPCA have a copy of any agreement to support or substantiate that? So is it all right, well, we'll just have fun now. No, and it's difficult. I agree with Councilor Baker, the SPCA provides a really important service. And, there just seems to be a lot of latitude in terms of how we interpret some of the elements in that agreement. So let's tighten it up, let's figure it out. And can we get $91,000 out of the SPCA without them closing the doors? Not likely. So I'm not sure we have many options here before us.
So I think that as the city clerk alluded to, the challenge we have is administration brought this forward because by charter, we cannot simply just say, oh, that's okay. It's going to be a resolution of this council at the next council meeting if that's what we so choose. But we want to have this discussion, make sure people are well versed with some information. If there was any other stones that need to be turned over, we can send administration back to do that. But I think the bottom line was, shouting to city manager administration was, we need to get some things straight and squared away. And that's really where we're at, is making sure that we follow the policy, procedure. There will be a lease drawn up. The other challenge is that lease by value that's being proposed is worth $36,000 a year based on the market value. As we've identified, the SPCA does seek services for the city that we would have a choice to try and budget and pay for directly. We do provide grant money, but with the same token, provide some of the services that they provide for the dollars and cents. So if we're going to be willing to lease them going forward for $7,500 a year, we'll work through that, how they pay for that, I'm sure down the road, that people are aware as well that we are below market value, and that has to be, again, done by this council, at a council meeting. But we want to make sure that there was good discussion, the opportunity to ask questions and get this information out. Councilor Torres.
I'm going to throw one small wrench into this and putting my accounting hat on, and that's, you can't technically, according to CRA's rules, donate services. Donating professional services, including veterinary type services, you cannot do because there's no physical value. So even a company I'm aware of that was providing services to a not-for-profit, they actually have to bill them. The not-for-profit has to pay the bill, and then you actually have to write a check back for that amount. But just so we're aware that there's it's not as simple as just saying, oh, don't worry about it. So if the city theoretically says, okay, it's an annual rate of $36,000, and I don't know what the SPCA's finances are like, but do they have the cash flow to write a $36,000 check unless we're meeting them on the road with our equivalent $36,000 donation? So we just have to be cautious of what we're doing as well with some of the rules around gifting kind of services. Thanks.
And it doesn't belong perhaps entirely to this discussion, but we've had other discussion with the SPCA, so I'm trying to think about this piece in the context of all the other pieces of the discussions we've had, and I'm a little concerned. We need to sort this out.
I think that there's a couple of different challenges. The first one is cleaning up the existing. And this is one of that's where we're at today, is for discussion and information gathering, was to clean up what isn't been done right. If I can use that terminology somehow, the intention of what actually happened. So I think that's where it needs to come to council. Council so decides for next meeting to try and move something forward and get it cleaned up so that the SPCA also knows where they stand, because right now they're sitting wondering what the heck their rent is, what the rent's going to be, so that they can plan budgetary-wise that way as well. And you're right, Council, there's other items that are in play with the SPCA, but I think that today, I guess we can look to the SPCA for a report back from that to sense where they're at on some of the other items. But from this one here, it's to try and get ourselves back in proper alignment, because we've kind of got off the road here. We need to get back on the road again. Seems like we keep picking the locomotive out of the ditch and setting it back in the tracks, and we'll get it going forward. Councilor Baker.
There's a lot more to this report than just this. There's this land issue that's outstanding and things like that. I think we got to bring it all into one package and find out what we're doing with the land over on the east side. And we're going into a 10-year lease on this property by the sounds of it, but we also got an empty lot sitting over on the east side of the city. that was more or less donated, I forget the detail. So shouldn't we tie this all together and straighten it all out at once?
We can certainly send back to administration if that's the general feeling of the council.
I'm not sure we can, but it all plays together, but I'm not sure how it would all fit together.
That's exactly.
For me, it is anyways. Maybe administration can sort it out better than I can, because I don't know all the information on this nonsense.
Councilor, City Manager.
I can just comment, some of those discussions have been ongoing regarding the items that have come, so it's not like we haven't been discussing those, these discussions have been happening. So the discussions overall are ongoing with all the items dealing between the city and the SPCA.
Just a question of clarification, and maybe I missed it, what are we looking at proposing for a lease length of time in here as it is right now? If we were to move to a lease, have you started that discussion as to what the length of lease time would be?
Thank you. If we enter into a new lease agreement with updated terms and conditions, it's been discussed to move forward with a 10-year lease agreement. I just want to mention that all these agreements also have a termination clause in those.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions from council? I'm going to administration paramount to work up there. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you.
Moving on to 5.5, back to City Manager.
Thank you, Your Worship. To present 5.5 Insurance and Risk Management Request for Proposal. I'll ask the City Clerk to present.
Thank you, Your Worship. The item I have before you today is to provide the committee with information on recent requests for proposals for general insurance and risk management. The agreement with the current insurance provider for the city expires on October 31st, 2018. Legislative Services issued an RFP on June 1st, 2018 to secure an insurance provider for a 3-year term. The RFP, which was posted on the City of Lloydminster Bids and Tenders webpage, closed on June 29th, 2018, with 4 submissions being received by administration. Administration is conducting a review and evaluation of proposals for the recommendations and coming forward at the August 20th meeting, the regular council meeting for decision. The majority of the weighting for the proposals identified is based on fee, proposal, and deductible, and municipal requirements for service and support. Insurance is a fluctuating commodity, and most brokerage use similar methods to calculate actual costs. As such, comparisons for brokerage was more focused on value-added services. Municipalities present unique challenges to insurance providers as a result of the need to insure airports, community programming, nonprofit groups, and other irregular activities and entities. In addition to the normal business and liability types of insurance other organizations and business would require. These additional programs such as volunteer insurance and local community insurance program for events, to name a few, are included as requirements in the RFP. The base annual insurance costs for the city are approximately $380,000 a year, and we're not anticipating an increase in those costs at this time.
Thank you, City Clerk. Certainly interesting, as you mentioned in here, that our insurance policy is not your typical home or business insurance policy because of the broad nature of the city's assets, as well as the liabilities that are carried with those assets. When you indicate the airport as an example, there's certainly something that's not on everybody's radar every day. Councilor Carson.
Thank you, Richard. I just want to comment on the weighting, because I think that the weighting overall is pretty good. We're talking about a service rather than a good, so kind of leaning more towards the quality of your service, because everyone knows with insurance your premiums are basically worthless if you have terrible service or if they don't cover anything. So that's good. My only question is what would be the difference between municipal experience and municipal references and ease of transition? My only thoughts are that the ease of transition one could disproportionately benefit your existing provider if you have that in there, because then there's no transition. And is that fair? I don't know.
We wanted to make sure when we were looking at the evaluation that if we were going to go away or we were going away from our current provider, we wanted to make sure what the transition looked like, and we wanted to see examples of the transitions from other communities. Insurance is one of those commodities where on October 31st at midnight, November 1st, you have a new provider. And if you haven't got a transition and it hasn't worked, you can find yourself in a very viable situation. We want to make sure that we were looking after the city's interests as well.
Okay. So I guess the question in my mind is that the insurance provided to SUMA or SARN and AUMA, do they have is there a collective insurance body at all? And if not, then I guess, because I mean, certainly in other sort of spheres, you find that there are groups, public education, where they will combine and have an insurance policy that often is created. So I'm just wondering if AUMA and SUMA have something similar, and if there's, where they would rank
Without speaking on who currently is,
There's more question about what service they offer.
They do provide those services, they were invited to.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, City Clerk. Moving on to agenda item 5.6, back to City Manager.
Thank you, Your Worship. To present 5.6, Rural Municipality, I'll ask Chief Financial Officer Denise McDonald to present.
Good afternoon, Your Worship Council.
Good afternoon, Chief Financial Officer.
This afternoon, I'd like to bring to your attention membership for the RMA, previously known as AAMC. They, for a small membership fee of $195 plus GST, they would provide municipalities, school districts, housing associations, and other public entities access to a list of premium branded products and services. They have a list of approximately 151 vendors on their list, and they're using innovative group buying techniques to reduce individual purchases. In some cases, in particularly for operations, we could see significant reduction in our costing, up to 40 to 50% in some of our purchases from vendors. RMA consists of 69 municipal districts and counties with over 800 members to date. Some of the benefits enjoyed by members of RMA trade are listed above. We also wanted to bring to your attention that we would be looking at our purchasing tenders similar to what we did with the fire truck. Would be eligible under their program too.
Councilor Thompson, Councilor
I have a few questions on this one. I'm just curious, I kind of looked at the supporting documents on their website of all the different vendors that they have on their list and everything for all the different items. I'm wondering if that replaces a good portion of what the purpose of the P-cards is. Because based on what I see, you do your business with that company and then you are invoiced by RMA directly and end up paying them. Which kind of would go around, what we're doing with the P-cards right now. So if you moved your fuel or something like that over to bulk purchasing through RMA, then there would no longer be a need for a whole bunch of people to have that particular P-card anymore. Or if you're buying, gloves or plumbing products, all these things that we said is the purpose of the P-card appear to be the things that are covered by this service. Does that sound kind of correct, that it would go away from the P-card system that we got into in November?
Certainly some of the programs would, it would affect the rebate that we get back, but there's a significant, there's significant savings under this program to benefit us on our daily purchases for sure.
I understand that and I agree with you. The only other thing is on the P-card side, one of the sales points to us, rightly or wrongly, was there was enhanced internal controls for your ability to buy, purchase things depending on your spending limit, depending on who you are. Will we still have that ability under this system, or will anyone, whether they have the proper amount of authority or not, be able to make a purchase at one of these associate vendors? That's just my question, is whether we lose internal control by doing this, because now you could potentially have unauthorized purchases, and the system would totally have to change in terms of where the approval goes to, as to whether that person was able to make the purchase or not.
Well, they still would have to have a PO in order to purchase from that vendor. But instead of the invoicing coming directly from the vendor, the invoice does come from RMA, and then it consolidates it from there. My understanding of the P card system is that we are required to, I think there's a 10-day process where we get the bill from the P card, and then we have to turn around and make the payment in order to get the rebate from them. I think there's some timing issues there, and we're not always going to get that rebate because it's too quick.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing there's some practical things with that as well in terms of approval. So if invoicing is all going to finance, let's say, but approval needed to happen over here, unless the PO is done already and we're following a PO process properly, which I've heard doesn't always go perfectly, then it could present a internal controls problem of people purchasing things without authority. So that's my only concern. It is pretty sweet, and it's a sweet deal, but we may have to limit it to specific items where internal control problems can't get out of hand.
I'm actually familiar with some nonprofit organizations that do use this, and the amount of savings that they are getting is like 75%. Like Denise had mentioned 40, 50, 50, but some things like paper, and you get the exact same product that you were getting, and your cost savings are so significant that it's actually, it would be ridiculous not to do this, even in just terms of going with paper, we'd save over $204 a year, right? So even if we just decided, oh, we're just going to do it for office supplies, nothing else, because we want to have those controls in place still, then we would still, in my eyes, we would save significantly over $204 a year, correct? So we could have some stipulations on what we're doing it for, if it's just going to be office supplies and we're not going to go towards anything else, or if we decide, okay, we are going to order anything like a huge purchase, we can come to council for something like that if we wanted that approval as well. But the savings is astronomical.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. I agree. Like, there's a lot of benefits to this program, and I think it would really make sense, in my eyes, to do something like this for the cost savings, just so long as it's designed in the right way and looking at things. My only other question was going to be just around our last topic. So, you know, we did have opportunities to do maybe the group buying with insurance, let's say, and going through those other programs, but we didn't because we're big enough that we have that buying power already, that we don't have to do that. I'm just curious if we're aware, like we are aware that the deal is that much better, that the buying power is that much bigger of this group than it would be of the city in general to negotiate a contract. Just because we are, you know, at an $80 million budget, do we already have the buying power to get the low prices?
I think to answer that question is they've already established that, and so then we don't have to go and do that by doing those agreements individually with organizations such as Staples. Right. So Staples will give us an online account. The vendor will change from being, our membership number will change from being City of Roy to being a part of RMA, and the billing will go through them. We don't have to negotiate with Staples, they just give us an online account, and our department here in finance can order, our operations center can order. We don't have to do that groundwork anymore if we go with them.
Okay, sounds good.
I believe this is going to give administration a tool to add to the toolbox they already have, because we have a relationship with SUMA, this program in a format they have. AUMA has this. By joining RMA for $204 and change, gives our team the ability to do the sourcing that they need to do, that they do every day, and have a choice. I think that's just like buying a membership at various organizations throughout the province and in the city. There's rewards to membership, and I think this is one of those. And we've certainly seen the rewards from AUMA come back on an annual basis. Certainly, I'm sure gained some benefits from being a member of SUMA, and I think being a member of RMA for this purpose certainly enhances the ability to try and save our taxpayers money, because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. The administration's asked for that ability to try and get the best deal for the city. And I think that from that perspective, I certainly support the idea of going that way, and you might see it come back to council. And it's a small amount. It's just basically an administrative fee that they're paying. I believe Councilor Baker will be able to comment.
Thank you, Your Worship. Buying groups have been going on for the last 50 years. It's in the lumber business and everything. And it isn't always the best deal. We're making statements, it's a heck of a deal. Well, I don't see any numbers to tell me it's a heck of a deal. Show me the numbers and then you can tell me whether it's a heck of a deal or not. Because you're going through a third party to buy stuff. And they have to operate. And they have charges. And the $200 isn't going to cover it. That's just to get a card. So show me the numbers and then bring it to council.
Thank you, Your Worship. The only other thing that I was curious about was just around how does this kind of affect the purchasing policy in general. I'm thinking that the design of this would be for dollar value items that normally don't go to tender. Anything, the capital purchase program would really muddy the water, I think, if you're going through this a little bit, unless you're only doing invitation tenders for groups that are only in here and you're not doing RFP processes anymore. So I think that the water would get a little muddy around how we RFP larger purchases if we're still doing it through this program as to whether it's still following our purchasing policy or not. Does that make sense?
I believe we have to evaluate our purchasing policy to include this in there for some items. But certainly if council would like us to enter into this slowly, I think we could reap benefits of operating purchases to begin with and evaluate it as we go forward. They are a non-profit group, so any profits made from their organization comes back to the membership, so we would get an equity check.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you just give one example off the top of your head or that you have in front of you that what we would pay now versus what we would pay for an item if we were to join this?
All I can, I don't have an example in front of me, but I have worked with them in the past and it's considerable savings. Staples alone, just looking through our vendor list, we purchase from a variety of people. Whereas if we kind of focused on Staples directly, we would have significant savings.
And what is our money that we get back from the P card? What was the percentage?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
Was it three? Three rings the bell on my head. So if we get 3% back, even if we're saving 50% cost savings using this, it's a no-brainer really. Right? Obviously policies need to be adjusted slightly, but go ahead.
There is, sorry, you're the chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Would you like to speak?
Thank you. One other thing that maybe muddies the water a little bit is a lot of these smaller things we could be sourcing right now from local businesses and things like that are going on the P card. And if we move to this, and I know a lot of the businesses on here are relatively local, they're within a geographic region, but some of them are bigger dogs, and I would, we have to be cognizant of shopping local or not. If we are encouraging other people to do it, we ought to put our money where our mouth is and do the same as well. So another thing to think about when we look at the list of who the vendors are and what's available to us, that we're not spending, not that there's anything wrong with them, all of our money in Vermilion when we could be spending it in Lloydminster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the other thing with the P card is where we were making our biggest bang for our dollars is paying our energy bills. That was the example I think we used and paid on a regular basis where we were making our biggest refunds, if you like. These amounts here, in my mind, are probably going to be significantly less. So I don't think if you do the savings versus the refund, the savings probably are going to surpass your any refund you get at 3%.
Any other questions or comments? The administration's got a general feeling?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we gave the invoice with our P card, so you still get the same. presentation. The second one is from my experience for the small membership. Previous municipality that worked at, we done about a $7,000 to $8,000 rebate every year, and that was just based on office supplies, and we didn't take part in the capital or anything like that. So it's, just that alone is worth the $200 membership. The one thing that I think that I want to make sure council was comfortable with and that I could read was purchasing capital similar to how we did fire trucks. So it's where it's already done, the procurement process is already done through which is compliant with the street partnership and everything, but doesn't necessarily make you go to a formal tender. So if we used tires, for example, the procurement process in the program is already done, and you could go to the supplier, one of the suppliers on the list, and purchase it. It does meet the newest trade partnership guidelines. So that's, I got a sense that the council's not quite comfortable with that, and we're okay with that. And that was one of the reasons for putting this on the $200 rating was fairly new, in the whole scheme of things. But we just want to get a feel from council too on that procurement. It's a bit of a new practice, or that we're used to anyway. So we want to get a feel from council. So.
Well, I'll share an experience I had with a local businessman, and their comment back was they would like the opportunity to bid on the city's business, but they totally expect the city to get the best buy. That's what I've received from business people in this community, from that perspective, that they want the opportunity to have a shot at city business, whatever it may be, for services or goods. But at the same token, they realize that at the end of the day, every purchase that's made does affect the cost of operating the city. So truly, I think that as business people, they're willing to meet us halfway, and I think that's where it goes back to administration, that we need to ensure that we do give the local opportunities to businesses, but also that they realize that if there's a huge cost saving, I think they realize that as well, and take that into account. So I think that's from my perspective, that's the information I can share.
And that was one of our questions towards the group as well when they presented to ELT, and we did confirm that many of the suppliers that are on the list are local providers as well, and those local businesses would benefit from the purchase as well, just get a different pricing.
Absolutely. Any other comments, council? Questions? All right. Look at the agenda. There's moving on to 6, governance authority matters. I don't see anything listed. So move to inquiries to media.
Thank you, Your Worship. This time there are requests for yourself and your elders as well as councilors Corson and Dyke.
I'll look to council for direction.
Motion to recess.
Motion to recess, seconded. Council Corson, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.